So you got that, that awful heartbeat bill, right? So you want to act like policy doesn't matter? If Jeff Young would have been governor of Kentucky, then you wouldn't have all this abortion issues, right? There's only one abortion clinic left in Kentucky. There's only one left. Now there's the heartbeat bill, de facto ban, so ban on abortion, huh? So therefore what? If there's, cases where the abortion needs to be had, you're going to have a bunch of teenagers in the alley with a coat hanger? Is that what you want, a bunch of unsafe abortions happening? So Jeff Young was right about abortion. Matt Bevin was wrong. You also have the unions. You want to act like the Republicans are for the working class, for the working families. They're not for the working families. The only leverage that working people have at a job is a union. They're not going to listen to you. If you don't have a union, you're just kissing your boss's ass, and you have to do anything and everything that he says, no matter if he's a dick or not. So it's a right-to-work state now, right? So right-to-work was passed, and it's not a right-to-work. It's supposed to sound good, but it's to kill unions. It's to destroy the unions. You get right to work, so if you have a closed shop, you have a union that formed on their own, and then they were able to get a contract with the employer, and so they got an agreement, right? You're allowed to have free association. You're allowed to have contracts. You got the union, you got the employer, they got a contract, and it's a closed shop, and somebody else comes to work in it. Right to work says they're allowed to work at that job without having to join that union. It's to destroy the unions. You were allowed to have contracts. I mean, this smacks up against the freedom to contract. And freedom to contract is like one of the cornerstones of American jurisprudence. So Jeff Young was in favor of unions. Jeff Young wanted stronger unions. So Jeff Young would have never even considered right to work, right? He would have considered the Employee Free Choice Act to give every single employer at a job the opportunity to vote for a union if they want one or not. Here's the opportunity. Do you want one? It's a vote, right? So that's democratic, that's fair. I bet you there's a lot of people that's inside of workplaces that are scared of being intimidated and, essentially scared into submission. Don't you even think about a union. Don't you dare, right? But the threat of a union makes them, treat the workers better. So an actual union would be that much better. An actual union would mean you actually have power. I've heard of a shop steward that the boss came down, was sitting there yelling at all the working folks. Shop steward comes up to the shop steward defends the employer. The employer comes down to harass the workers, and the shop steward says, "Get the hell out of here! You can't treat us like that. You can't treat my workers like that. You need to get back up there and change your attitude and talk with some respect." That's a badass shit to do that at work. Boss comes up to you and says, "Hey, go clean that up." If they're just fucking with you, then hey, don't do that. We are worthy of dignity and respect too. Give me the job description, I'll get the job done. You don't have to hover over me and micromanage the shit out of me. So if Jeff Young had been elected governor, the whole unions wouldn't even be under attack. Right? They went on, with Jack Conway, and I'm not even sure if he was in favor of unions or not. So, yeah, the developed unions, they're a powerful entity, but what about the, 90%? Only 9% of people in America are part of a union. So that means 91% of Americans either don't know about it, they don't know the law, they don't know how to do it, maybe they're scared, they don't want to, cause any friction, they want to, kiss the boss's ass, make sure the boss is happy. You can't, say, hey, we deserve dignity, because the boss won't like that. The boss isn't happy about you having dignity. So there's three things that I like about Matt Bevin. He is in favor of charter schools. He's in favor of school choice. What America needs to do with public schools is to get vouchers. Vouchers puts the power in the parents' in the hands of the parents. If you're not going to give vouchers to the parent, give it to the child. Then they'll, we will be guaranteed that we'll be happy customers because we're the ones with the paycheck. You don't give us a good education, and then we don't go there and you don't get paid. School choice is a great idea. Universal education is the goal, right? We want everybody to get educated. So whether or not you go to this school, that school, it doesn't matter. If people are going to this old dilapidated school that doesn't have all the facilities, but there's, actual education that's happening there, that's their right. They should have the choice to go to whatever school they want to go to. So vouchers, you get like $10,000-$20,000 per child per year anyways. So imagine getting a $10,000 check in your pocket. You got $10,000 check, and then it's up to you to decide where that $10,000 is going to go. Which school system for your kid is that $10,000 going to go? So it's liberating, and it encourages competition, and that's good because the public school system is a monopoly, and it's run by just a bunch of totalitarian assholes, just a bunch of absolute Nazi fucks, just do what I say, shut the fuck up, I'm the one that's smart, and they don't care if you get a job, they don't care if you go on in the world, they don't care if you're even curious about the subject matter. They'll ruin the subject matter by forcing you to learn this shit. And then, how many people are going to learn, want to talk about algebra? You're forced to learn it. You didn't want to learn it. Now look at you. So the teachers are killing their own subject matter by their oppression. So charter schools is a good way to make the totalitarian schools more freer, more civic, teaching civics, teaching life skills, teaching how to get along better. So school choice is a good idea. He's in favor of charter schools. He passed a carry concealed for everybody. That's pro-Second Amendment. It's actually in the Constitution, so it goes back, reverts to the 1891 Kentucky Constitution. Also has the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Matt Bevin is revolutionary as fuck when he said the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. However, he said that he's willing to put his kids on the line. The lives of his children can be put on the line to make sure that Hillary Clinton doesn't get elected. That was the whole point of that speech. We don't want to get Hillary elected, so, we just might have, the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. So that's a call for revolution. And that's, remarkable, because Hillary Clinton sucks. And we do need to have a revolution against Hillary Clinton. Probably not a Matt Bevin revolution, but we need a progressive revolution. So I like the quote. It's Thomas Jefferson. It's American. It's revolutionary. Him putting his own kids on the line, that's, cowardly. You're going to put your own children on the front lines. Perhaps, anybody could stand up, but to sit there and say, well, my kids might have to do it. Well, I guess anybody's kids might have to do it, but to sit there and just act like it's not, it's not your choice. It's up to them, right? If they're going to engage in a revolutionary battle, it's not up to you. And then he also said, don't ask, don't tell. Oh, and then they're passing don't ask, don't tell. He's complaining about transgender. He's complaining about abortion. And then he said, and then they want to pass don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, don't tell. Well, what's wrong with don't ask, don't tell? Don't ask, don't tell was actually a compromise, right? So it says that the employer, nobody could ask the gay person if they're gay, and the gay person didn't have to say whether they're gay or not. You want to serve in the military and you're gay, then you could do it. So it legalized it, but it was a compromise, right? So it's, why can't a gay person be gay? Why can't heterosexual people be heterosexual? That's who you are, that's who you are. You know what I mean? So, you're going to sit there and say, don't ask, don't tell didn't go far enough, and yet he's going to criticize it because it was somewhat nicer to the gay folks. It's saying they could serve if they kept their mouths shut. So he's a homophobic bigot. He don't care if these religious schools are discriminating against homosexual folks. Homosexual folks are people too. The world needs more love. I don't give a shit about I care about them, but I'm saying they don't bother me. What bothers me are criminals. I can't stand criminal motherfuckers. People that beat the shit out of their kids. People that use violence against little tiny children. The bodies of little tiny children. They're going to use violence on that, right? That pisses me off. You want to talk about criminality? You want to talk about people who steal, people who kill, people who murder, people who rape, people who, pedophiles. You have arsonists. These are the biggest crimes out there. So to sit there and try to make being gay illegal, that you're off base. You're so far off base, it's not even funny. So he hasn't done, I would give Matt Bevin an F for what he's done for Kentucky. He's passed some laws, but Kentucky isn't getting any better. Kentucky is the exact same. The poverty rate is down by 1%. So he brags about getting 50,000 jobs. Whoa! Hold on. Matt Bevin got us 50,000 jobs. 50,000 jobs for 5 million people. So I guess all 5 million people need to compete over those 50,000 jobs. He probably hired 50,000 in the state government. So, I mean, 50,000 jobs is nothing. And that's what he's bragging about. That's so small that he has to be telling the truth, right? All right, 50,000, fine. Okay, 50,000. Wow, you're really helping out the economy there. You got us 50,000 jobs. So he's making sure that we have, working class people have no leverage in the workplace. And then he only created 50,000 jobs. So he's not creating jobs. He's not creating opportunities. You have to have a job in America or you die. So 50,000, that's not enough. We need to, create 100,000. You need to create 500,000. You need to create 1 million jobs every year or every term, at least 4 years. Yeah, you should be able to create 500,000 jobs. So 50,000 jobs, that's, that's embarrassing. And the poverty rate has gone down 1%, but he doesn't brag about it. He doesn't say, hey, my poverty rate's going down, because he's not concerned about the poor people. He's not a Christian. He's not one of those Christians that, is like Jesus. He's like one of those anti-Jesus Christians. Jesus gave a shit about the poor. Jesus gave a shit about the prostitutes and the the lepers and the tax collectors. So the people that were ostracized out of society that people didn't want to talk to or didn't want to relate to, Jesus says, come unto me, the least of my brethren. That which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. So you also have a 13% turnout rate. The democracy is dog shit. It's a two-party system, and it's a very corrupt two-party system because it's constitutional. So because the two parties are in the Constitution, they are enshrined and institutionalized. So your third parties, your independents, they don't have a chance whatsoever, and that's where new ideas come from. So Kentucky hasn't been getting any new ideas. You don't have your Green Party. You don't have, you have the Green and the Libertarians sometimes that get in there if they fight, through the avalanche. But if they don't fight through the avalanche bullshit, then they, don't get on the ballot. They got to get 5,000 signatures. Whereas if you're a Democrat or Republican, you just need to get 3 signatures. That's it. Oh, you got 3 signatures? Well, get on in there. Run the whole state. Whereas a Libertarian and a Green Party person, any independent has to get 5,000 signatures. When Gatewood Galbraith ran, he had to get 5,000 signatures. So 5,000 signatures, that's God's work. I think that's a good thing for politicians to get out amongst with the people, to mix with them and to get this petition signed to get his name on the ballot. But 5,000 fucking signatures, that's a much higher threshold for any independent. So if you're an independent and you think for yourself, then you have, very little chance of getting any power. You're not going to get the governorship in Kentucky. You also have no initiatives. There's no public financed elections. There's no referendums. So the people are never asked any question whatsoever. If all 5 million Kentuckians signed a petition, every single, Kentuckian signed a petition to, let's just say, a school system, to make schools start at noon, okay? We're going to make schools start at noon. If everybody in Kentucky, all 5 million of the people signed that petition, it wouldn't get on the ballot. The only way that you get laws on the ballot is if the legislature does it, and then they only have a list of specific ballot initiatives that they're allowed to present to the public, and then that's it. So it's up to the lawmakers to put any initiative out before you. It's up to the lawmakers to say, ask a question to the Kentucky people. The Kentucky people are not voting on the issues. They have contempt for the Kentucky people. They're just saying, who do you want to be your leader? And then they let the leader do whatever the hell they want to do. They don't ask questions about the issues and the policies. The way initiative and referendums work, it's very, democracy. It's very democratic, small d democratic. And so the way that it works is when the people vote for that law, then that law becomes law. It doesn't have to be signed by the governor. It doesn't have an executive order. Legislature, you might want those lawmakers to sort of, do the way that it needs to be done, whatever the form and structure of the thing. But ultimately, the people voted for it, then the people get what the people want. So while you have all these problems, okay, so you have, no democracy, you have a lot of racism, you got a lot of poverty, 17% poverty, one of the poorest states in the Union. 1 out of 5 Kentuckians, nearly 1 out of 5 Kentuckians are poor, so if you meet 5 Kentuckians, one of them were poor. The turnout rate in 2015 was 13%. Gatewood ran as an independent. turnout rate in 2011 was 29%. So that was for the general election. Oh, wow. 7 out of 10 Kentuckians say, fuck the democracy, fuck the government, we're not going to participate in our own government. And either they don't know, any better, or they find the government, it's inept. And why would I want to, vote for a bunch of assholes that ain't going to do shit for me? So 2011 is when Steve Beshear defeated David L. Williams. So that was a, open contest, or, he was the incumbent, but that's still, why was there only 29%? 142,000 Republicans voted in the Republican primary. There's like 1 million, voters for both Republicans and Democrats. Only 142,000 Republicans came out. And again, Gatewood. So that's there's Marcy's Law, another initiative. Marcy's Law was an initiative that was passed by the people, but it's in court right now. So even if they do get an initiative, even if the Kentucky people do get a question that is presented to them, it's thrown into court. So the Kentucky people had a question, they voted in favor of it, and now it's in court. So it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. They don't give a shit about the Kentucky people whatsoever. That's Matt Bevin. He don't give a shit about the Kentucky people's health. We need universal health care. We're a modern nation. Are we not a modern industrialized nation? Are we not the greatest country in the fucking world? And you're going to sit there and say the health of the people, the greatest country in the world, don't fucking matter. You're a psychopath. You're a piece of shit psychopath. Again, Matt Bevin doesn't give a shit about the health. He don't give a shit about the visions and the dental, and he doesn't give a shit about whether or not working people have any leverage. He's not bringing any jobs. He's bringing in trickling few jobs in there. So I give Matt Bevin an F. Matt Bevin is a crappy governor. All, the kind of the bullshit that the media focuses on, they're kind of focusing on the superficial shit. Oh, he said this, he said that. People misspeak all the time, and he's, you know what he's trying to say. So Kentucky has meth, Kentucky has STDs, Kentucky has illiteracy, so drug problems, poverty, they can't read, STDs, so everybody's getting chlamydia. You get small towns that everybody gets chlamydia in, Corinth. There's only, 20 people in Corinth. So, if there's people that are they're having sex with each other, then everybody gets that same disease. Because they're not talking about health, they're not health conscious. You have the biggest, they're the most obese people. You have obesity problems. You got diabetes problems. Diabetes all over the place. You got diabetes, in Clay County, diabetes in Marshall County, diabetes in Robertson County. Diabetes is everywhere. And cancer, every single kind of cancer. Give me a name of a cancer. Oh, okay, so cervical cancer, bingo. What do you got? Testicular cancer, there you go. Kentucky's number one. Brain cancer, stomach cancer, every single cancer that's out there, Kentucky is just on the top of the charts. So Kentucky is sick. Kentucky needs health care. If it's not coming from the national government, it's going to have to come from the state government. And so far, with the president and that governor, Kentucky has zero chance of getting any kind of universal health care whatsoever. That's a liberal ideal. That black guy, remember that black president? He was talking about health care. Fucking racist ass state, very racist. It's a culture of ignorance, so they run to what's stupid and what's dumb. Oh, taters and maters, that's how you're supposed to say tomato and, oh, holler. So, you want to sit there and go ahead and bastardize English. I actually kind of like that, but you have a culture of ignorance. So if it looks dumb and it looks backwards, but it looks kind of fun and cheeky, then it's going to be, oh, I want to say taters too. Can I say taters like you? So the culture of ignorance. What the fuck? It's like they're backwards and they want to be backwards. Lots of poor people, Mountain Dew mouth. There's the, the high fructose corn syrup. So people are, when they're babies, there's no water. 70% of Letcher County has no running water whatsoever. So 70% of Letcher County don't even have fucking running water. If that's not third world country shit, I don't know what is. So they have no running water, so you got to drink the, the pop or the, the water and the stuff that you buy from the supermarket. And they get Mountain Dew mouth where they drink Mountain Dew and the sugar rots their teeth out. There's health problems, dental problems, there's obesity, homelessness, lots of corruption. This I believe to be true. I've called, both the Bluegrass Institute and the Kentucky, Economic Policy Center, and I want to, get this verified. But I know the judges get paid $130,000 every year. So a judge gets elected, county judge, circuit court judge, this judge, whatever judge. So they all get paid $130,000. The only people that can be judges are lawyers, right? So all these poor, uneducated people, none of those people can be judges. So you get these stuck-up, rich, you have to have $250,000 to get to go to law school or go to get a GI Bill. So the judges get $130,000, a shit ton of money, plenty of money for them to invest into, you spend it wisely and live off of it for the rest of their life if they're intelligent. And then they get 100% of that which they got paid the salary in their retirement plan. So there's this big pension problem. Cut the fucking pensions of the judges. Cut their fucking pensions. You got $130,000 every year, so that's, $400,000, that's about $500,000 for one term. If they get 2 terms, they're a millionaire. They got power, they got money. So they're going to buy the businesses, buy the land, buy the houses. Just be greedy, right? Just be a bunch of greedy, selfish assholes like the capitalists that they are. And then when they work, I don't know what tenure is. I don't know if they have to be a judge for 10 years. I don't even know if I think it's just one term. If a judge was a judge for 4 years, Kentucky pays that judge $130,000 every year until they die. So you get a 30-year-old who's a judge, 34, he's retired, right? And then for the next 40 years, he's going to get $130,000. So, that's $1.3 million after 10 years. So 4 decades, you're going to give them $4 million to sit on their ass. You want to bitch about welfare and hate that people got food stamps and they buy, junk food with it. How come you don't give a shit about the fucking judge that only worked for 4 years and now he's robbing the taxpayer blind for the next 4 decades? I think. I think that's what's going on. Even if it's not that drastic, they're only working 10 years, and then they're still getting a fat fucking retirement, whereas I think the teachers get 50%, and then the road workers get 10%. So the road workers only made, $20,000, and now they get 10% of that in their retirement, only 10%. And 50%, we're paying a shit ton of money for people to sit around on their asses. What is that UBI is $10,000 a year. 10,000, what's Social Security? How much is that? So they're going to get $20,000 and then 10%, so they're going to get $2,000. So a road worker going to get $2,000 every year for their retirement, and the fucking judge is going to get $130,000. Well, I guess it's good to be the king. It's good to write or interpret the rules. So these judges are making fucking bank, and then they're going to fuck over the poor people for the tiniest infraction. Well, we don't have fucking money just coming out of our fucking ears. Maybe I can't afford to fix, my taillight right now. I need to save some money up. But you wouldn't understand shit like that, would you? The corruption is insane. The judicial branch, if you don't have a lawyer, might as well not even go into the judicial branch because they're not going to give a shit about what you think or what you say. They're going to, make their own determination, and most of the time they're wrong. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They look at the show that's in the courtroom, but they don't really think about the event. So it's not like justice is not even a part of the thing. It's just which has the better lawyer. It's a competitive thing, so who has the better lawyer, that's how you get justice in Kentucky. So for most of the people that don't know the law, that are illiterate, can't even read, that are poor, can't afford a lawyer, what the fuck are they going to do? They're not going to be able to, get any kind of justice or to enforce the law on, some asshole that's fucking them over. Harvard had a study that they're the most corrupt state in the nation. They have authoritarian schools. You've got assaulting children. So corporal punishment isn't just legal, in the home, but I think it is. I don't know. Abuse is illegal. You cannot abuse. You have to have a distinction between discipline and abuse. If you don't even have that distinction, then you're probably just an abuser, right? But the assaulting children, they're still, spanking kids in elementary schools. Some of the elementary schools are still spanking the kids. What the fuck? Yeah, you lay a hand on my kid's butt, I beat the shit out of you. What are you doing putting your hand on my kid's butt, you sick fuck? What the fuck are you doing? Low voter turnout rate, no initiatives. I voted on 30 questions in the last 3 years. I voted on more initiatives in 1 year in Colorado than I have my entire life as a Kentuckian, which is 3 decades, more than 3 decades. It's much easier to move to a progressive state than to try to change the minds of Kentuckians, to give a damn about one another, to give a damn about the policies that's going to help other people. Look what they do to Jeff Young. They don't even put him in the polls. So, Jesus Christ, the pollsters and the media folks, they're going ahead and picking their horses, and they're not even telling you about any of these people. Most Kentuckians, they know about the Derby and, you know, the disqualification of whatever, and they have an opinion about who won the Derby, but they don't even know that there's a primary for their governor's race going on right now. 13% in the primary voted in Kentucky. 13%. So 87% of Kentuckians are saying, fuck democracy, fuck the government, fuck America. We're not going to participate. We're just going to be a bunch of dumb, fucking backwards, selfish assholes, and we're going to be pricks to each other. We're just going to be mean, shitty, illiterate assholes. Just a dog-eat-dog capitalist society. And if they, you know, find a little tiny corner, then they'll be fucking rude as shit. And then they're loud about their ignorance, too. They are loud. Maybe because they never get heard, but they're fucking loud as shit. Oh, I don't know that shit. I ain't gonna know that shit. I'll never know that shit. Okay. Well, you're going places, let me tell you. So, you have, I'm getting a little warm here, but so you have all these problems, right? Kentucky, you got problems on top of problems. And if you don't even address the problems, what's the chances of them even, you know, being solved? You got a problem, you got to, you know, face it head on. So you got obesity. What are you going to do about obesity, Kentucky? What are you going to do about illiteracy? What, put out programs and then hope that they educate themselves? If you care about people that got, you know, that are obese, get them on some exercise regimen, right? Talk about hydration. Talk about, you know, nutrition. There's lots of ways to go about these things, but if you don't even acknowledge the problem and you don't want to do something about it, it's not going to get, you're going to have fat people in Kentucky all over, you know, for the rest of your lives. A bunch of fat, meth-addled, illiterate, racists. I mean, is that what you want? Don't you want to elevate? Don't you want to get better than just being, you know, bare minimum, dog shit, stupid fuck that, you know, my daddy did it and I'm going to do it too, and that's the only way we're going to do things. That's it, huh? Just how he taught you, and you ain't gonna consider nothing else, son. I love my daddy. My daddy. So don't say nothing about my daddy. So you have all these problems. What is Bevin doing? Oh, he's killing the fucking unions. Oh, he's, you know, making abortion illegal. So now it's going to be even harder for the illiterate, backwards dumbasses, the meth fucking users. So you're going to have more meth users, right? Meth users are going to just overpopulate the place with their meth juleps. He's killing the abortion clinics. So that's what he's worried about, right? The obesity, maybe that'll help with obesity, right? Make everybody just, whatever kids you have, whether you're raped or it's incest, and if it's the health of them, it doesn't matter. Every kid gets born, and if somebody gets an abortion and it's after 6 weeks, well, that woman goes to jail for the rest of her life. And that'd be good for the private prison industry. It'd be good for the, you know, white-collar criminals. It'd be good for the prosecution and the judges. Gives them something to do. Makes it, you know, ooh, I'm being useful. I'm doing something here. You fucking people's lives over is what the fuck you're doing. There's people in Breckinridge County, that jailer just want to fill beds with heads to make as much money as possible, so there's a profit incentive to get people in jail. Whereas in Norway, they're closing their prisons. Shouldn't we be closing our prisons and not opening them? Shouldn't we, you know, try to get people out of jail, not more people in? It's backwards, man. He wants to discriminate against the Palestinians because the oppressor's always right? So Israel steals their land, treats the Palestinians like shit, and everybody's just going to turn their head. There needs to be a two-state solution, and then the boycott, divest, and sanction, you know, protest. That's economic. You're allowed to boycott McDonald's. You're allowed to boycott 4th Street Live. If you absolutely detest that the Palestinians have been getting killed over and over again for fucking decades, don't go to McDonald's. Don't go to 4th Street Live. He signed an executive order saying you're not allowed to do it, but I think you should do it out of spite. Because why we are forced to fucking go to McDonald's? I don't want to go to McDonald's. All these health fucking problems, you're going to force me to go to McDonald's? All these poverty problems, go to 4th Street Live, buy a T-shirt, and then you'll have to declare bankruptcy. So there's only one abortion clinic now, right? So people have to drive 5 hours if they're able to drive 5 hours. So abortion is de facto illegal. It's in Kentucky. So that's awful. That's terrible. You're going to have more abortions. You're going to have more trouble, more problems, because you're not being sensible. You're not using any goddamn common sense. The morning after pill, is that murder too? Is that murder? What about a condom? That must be murder too. I mean, those cells are living. There's living cells in that sperm. You're going to just sit there and kill all those living those living cells in the semen. You're just going to kill all of them, huh? Well, that's an abortion. That's a pre-abortion, right? So he's discriminating against Palestinians. That's what's going to help Kentucky. Let's fuck over Palestine. He's going chasing all these major corporations. He tried to get 2 big corporations, a battery plant in Pikeville, aluminum plant in Greenup County. It's an international fishing expedition that cost Kentucky taxpayers $30 million. $30 million is what that cost. And then there's also $400 million